Hi, have you ever wondered why your career needs more adventure, not just productivity? Imagine for a second that your working life extends well into your 70s, maybe even your 80s. How exactly do you make a career stretch that's long, sustainable, without burning out or feeling completely stuck in a rut? Here is a wonderful take published by MIT Sloan 2026. The paper, Why Adventure Matters in Long Working Lives by Professor Linda Grattan of London Business School. Professor Grattan says, embracing adventure is not a diversion from a serious career. It's what allows a work life to be capable of renewal over decades. Let's dive deeper. Usually, we hear two pieces of advice. First, stay productive. Logical. Keep upskilling, master your craft, and grind away. Second thing that we hear is practice mindfulness. Find your calm, your peace, manage your stress, and protect your well-being. Both clearly are great strategies. But then here is the catch. The very structures that make us productive and calm, like clear roles, established identities, well-worn habits, customs, practices, actually make change much harder over time. They lock us in because we've got used to it. When we talk about long careers, we love words like resilience, agility, and transformation. Almost nobody talks about adventure. In a corporate setting, the word adventure sounds frivolous, indulgent, or even a little risky. We praise adventure when you're 20. But the moment you hit 40 or 50, society tells you to lock it down and specialize. But management professor Linda Grattan, who has studied work patterns for decades, argues that this is completely backward. Embracing adventure isn't a distraction from a serious career. It's the exact secret ingredient that allows a working life to renew itself over decades. Looking back on 5 decades of her own work, Professor Grattan realized that her most defining professional moments weren't her steady promotions. They were the disruptions. Hitchhiking to a kibbutz in Israel as a graduate student, traveling through Peru and Bolivia in her 30s, exploring Africa in her 50s, and journeying to India in her 70s. At the time, these felt like massive detours. They didn't look like forward career progression, but in hindsight, those experiences were the exact anchors that shaped who she became as a professional. Why? Because as our lives get longer, ossification, or getting stuck in rigid versions of ourselves, is our biggest enemy. Without deliberate exploration, we risk getting trapped in identities that simply don't fit the future we were moving into. Reinvention doesn't happen by accident, it's caused. So how exactly does one take this leap, whether it's moving abroad, taking a sabbatical, or just shifting into a role where you're no longer the smartest person in the room, actually fuel your career? There are 3 big substantive reasons. Number 1, adventure disrupts accumulated patterns. When you step into a totally unfamiliar context, your autopilot shuts off. The systems are different, the social cues are new, and your usual expertise doesn't offer much guidance. Suddenly, the choices and reactions that felt automatic become visible again. You start observing closer, asking better questions, and seeing your own deeply ingrained habits and assumptions from the outside looking in. Number 2, adventure expands who you can become. Psychologists talk about possible selves, the different future versions of us we might imagine. But sitting around just reflecting on them doesn't do much. You have to take action. Imagine a senior executive stepping away from a comfortable role to work at a tiny, unfamiliar venture in a new country. For the first time in years, she isn't defined by control and authority. She is defined by learning, adapting, and uncertainty. Or consider a technical specialist who tries teaching and realizes he is actually an amazing educator. New experiences expand the range of identities you can inhabit, and that expanded sense of self sticks with you forever. Number 3, adventure creates markers across your life course. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus famously observed that we move through time like a river. You cannot step into the same river twice because the water flows on and you change with it. Adventures mark passages of time. They become the anchors in your life story, the exact moments you transition from one version of yourself to the next. Years later, you return to those memories not just to remember a fun trip, but to remind yourself of what you are capable of handling. It makes future career changes feel less scary, disruptions, and more like something you've already lived through and mastered. The big problem, substantive enough, that we face today is that our entire corporate world was built for an outdated 3-stage life. You get an education, you work continuously for 40 years, and then you retire. In that model, exploration only happens at the very edges of life. The middle is just a relentless march of continuity and specialization. But that model is breaking away under the weight of longer lives. We are moving into a multi-stage life, one with more transitions, variety, and choice. Long careers require moments of discontinuity. That means sabbaticals, taking breaks, secondments, portfolio careers, and midlife pivots aren't signs of a derailed career, they are vital signs of life, those that matter. Yet organizations need to step up and legitimize exploration, creating space for people to take these leaps without penalizing them. But as individuals, we also have to stop waiting. We get more and more accustomed to valuing mastery above all else, and we postpone adventure until we have more time, more certainty, or fewer obligations. Let's be honest, in a way that gets us to reflect. In a long working life, that perfect obligation-free moment never arrives. So ask yourself right now, what would your 80-year-old self ask of you? Surely they would tell you to walk 10,000 steps a day, eat sensibly, get a good night's sleep. But they would also say, give me adventures, give me moments I can remember, stories I can tell, conversations that I can have with my grandchildren. When did I have fun? What did I do? Carve out time for cultural immersion. Ask to try a completely new task at work. Volunteer in an unfamiliar context, in a role way below your capabilities, or pitch yourself for one way above them. Undertake a demanding creative challenge. Try out a self you've always dreamed of being. In a long working life, the question isn't just how long you can continue to endure. It's how often you are willing to step beyond what you know. The ultimate risk isn't taking too many detours, it's taking too few. Hope you enjoyed this video by Ganesh Sherman and produced by River Forest Connections. Thank you for watching. Have a great Beyond Corporate Adventure.